I was promised dinner in 3 minutes, so we're gonna make this update fast. Cool? Cool. Hey y'all, so it is the second day of Enneagram. I'm a terrible reader slash host, I guess, because I didn't read anything yesterday for the first day. I spent the entire day playing video games at Josh's. If you're curious, I played Spider-Man. It was really fun. I think I'm more than halfway through the actual full game at this point. I'm very impressed with myself. So anyway, this readathon is going to be taking place for 2 weeks. Rather than just do a usual vlog, I will be updating you guys whenever I have made big strides in my reading. I am currently planning to read 4 books for my team. There are each of the prompts. And then I also have 3 of the additional team books, which I am going to try and complete afterwards for bonus points. So starting out for the prompts, the first one is a dark and gritty read, and for that one I'm going to be going with A Reaper at the Gates by 𝗖cie迄𝘁, and then after that is a book with a sensitive character. I'm going to be going with, you cannot see that, A Good Day for Chardonnay by Dorinda Jones. The sensitive one is our main character, Sunshine's daughter, Ari. After that is a second chance romance, and I'm going to be going with The Right Swipe by 𝗖cie迄𝘁, and then finally is our group book, which is The Ghost We Keep by Mason Deaver. The 3 additional books I would love to get read include The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. I think this is the group book for Team 5. The Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Booley, and I think this is the pick for Team 6. And then finally, Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. I think this is the pick for Team 2. None of those numbers might have been correct. That's up to editing that to fix. So first, I have only started one of my books thus far, and that is A Reaper at the Gates by 𝗖cie迄𝘁. This is the 3rd book in An Ember in the Ashes series. I'm buddy reading this with Dasha over at Mythic Pages. Link right there. Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest, I'm like an hour and a half into the book and already most of the characters are annoying me. That is like one of the biggest annoyances to me for this entire series, is I can't stand half of the characters whose perspectives we're seeing from. There is an additional one in this that we haven't seen from previously. I'm intrigued to see how it's going to be handled. It's kind of like the villain character, but it's not the villain character I would have expected previously. Obviously, I can't talk about this one book in too much detail because it's the 3rd book in a series. Sorry, oh well. I am hoping later to take faith on a you-know-what and maybe get a little bit more of that read. I want to pick up a physical copy from the library also, so I can kind of double up between audio and physical reading, but somebody else has it on hold, unfortunately. I didn't plan ahead on that one. Tonight, however, I am gonna start on A Good Day for Chardonnay by Dorinda Jones. This is more of a romance mystery, so it's pretty different, and I know Dorinda Jones's writing is very happy and uplifting for me, even if our main character, Ari, is definitely on the sensitive side and does have to deal with some sad things here and there. Overall, I'm sure I'm gonna love this and blast right through it. I expect nothing less from Dorinda Jones. The Ghost We Keep is also gonna mess me up because it's tackling grief, so that's why I also have the nice romance for backup after I finish that one. I worked smart on this. Mystery-wise, that's a whole different story, although I think Monday's Not Coming is supposed to be fairly heavy, so might have to read that right after the romance, and then maybe find like something additional that can work for somebody else's prompts. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I'm gonna go eat dinner now. Bye! Hey y'all, so it is, what is today? It's Wednesday, I think? Yeah, it's Wednesday. I haven't finished a single book. In fact, I have done the opposite of finish a book. I have not finished a book. I have DNF'd Reaper at the Gates by 𝗖cie迄𝘁. I just wasn't getting into it. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's just like where I'm at right now or like how the book was going, but like I just was not feeling it. I was super bored. Even my intrigue of trying to figure out how this series was gonna end was not enough to keep me going. I was buddy reading this with Dasha. I talked it over with her and we both decided to DNF it because we were just bored and it kind of felt like the events that were taking place were sort of filler. That's unfortunate. I now need a new dark and twisty read. Luckily, however, I watched Paige at the PM Readers August TBR and she got the thriller for her TBR game and had to read Behind the Red Door by Megan Collins, which I have recently hauled, and when I pointed this out, we are possibly going to buddy read this. So this might be my new pick for a dark and twisty read because it's a mystery. This story is following a woman who sees this other woman has recently died on TV and she is certain she knows this person. No one really believes her. Her husband thinks it is probably because the woman who was murdered also disappeared like when she was a teenager and it was a really big deal until she was found. I'm really intrigued about it. I read the synopsis and it sounded like a great time. I got this at a Barnes & Noble closing sale, so I was like, heck yeah, I'll buy it. Hopefully we'll read it. It's not terribly long. long. I think it's only not quite even 300 pages, so I should be able to get through it fairly fast. And if I'm buddy reading, that kind of like holds me accountable to it too. I did, however, start the audiobook for The Right Swipe by 𝗖cie RH when I was driving home from work today. This is my romance pick for Second Chance Romance, obviously. I'm already on board. Our main character, Rhiannon, has started a dating company, essentially. It's kind of reminiscent to Bumble, I would say, and she is now hoping to buy what is basically Match.com, and this other guy is working for the company. Turns out they had a one-night stand years ago, and he ended up ghosting her afterwards, and she is not happy to see him again. I'm already all over this. I was even more excited when I realized in the second chapter that it is dual perspective, because I was so ready to see things from his perspective, specifically the first scene where they lock eyes. There's so much anger right there. It's Second Chance Romance kind of enemies to lovers situation because of like the business scenario that's going on, and she's pissed that he ghosted her. I'm so into this already. I can't wait to keep reading it. I just finished filming 2 videos, and I think I'm gonna try and film my August plan with me here soon. I might listen to the audiobook of this while I'm doing that. I haven't really been in a booktube mood today. Like, I tried to watch some earlier and I just wasn't feeling it. That's sometimes what I do while I'm doing my plan with me's, but if I'm still not in the mood, audiobook, especially because I'm so into it. I really want to start A Good Day for Chardonnay tonight. I really want to do. Maybe if I put all of this energy into the universe, I will finally do it, and like it'll come back around and smack me in the butt to make me do it, because I want to. I've just had a very chaotic last few days because technology has been hating me. We're gonna focus on the positive, which right now for me is this book. Anyway, this was just a little fast update. I'll talk to you guys later, hopefully when I've actually read more than like a chapter. Hey y'all, what's up? I am getting gas before I go over to Bob's for the night to, what are we watching? Probably the new Rick and Morty. Oh, we need to catch up on Bad Batch. And then we've been watching Castlevania. But anyway, I thought I would talk to you guys real quick because guess what? I finally finished my first book of the readathon, and it was The Right Swipe by 𝗖cie RH. I ended up really enjoying this one. I think it's really impressive that this author managed to tackle so many heavy topics in a romance book. For starters, there's fantastic diversity throughout. Our main female character, Rhiannon, is Black. She has an adoptive brother. The male main character is Samoan. He is an ex-football player, and the whole plot around his character is that he is a big proponent of safety, specifically when it comes to head injuries in sports, and that was kind of one of the main plot points. Was his father was the first one who died from issues due to having so many head injuries in football, and then his uncle did as well, basically starting to try and take a stand against it. He thinks about joining this nonprofit to try and work to educate people about this issue, and it was just really interesting. Not something I ever thought I'd want to read about, but I actually really enjoyed it. Then on Rhiannon's side, she used to date her ex-boss, and so we kind of get to see some discussion of power dynamic issues and dating within the business world, double checking everything's going fine, as well as issues of abuse and that kind of situation. Just very interesting to read about, and more serious topics that I feel like you don't really see in modern contemporary romances. I don't know, I keep saying that, but then I keep finding romances that have these heavier topics, which I just eat that shit up. It's delicious. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. There was miscommunication as like the main problem in the third act drama, which I really didn't like. I just thought it was kind of dumb. Overall, really enjoyed this one. Glad that this was the first book I finished. I am probably less than 100 pages away from finishing A Good Day for Chardonnay, so I'm super excited about that. This one I am just freaking in love with. Of course, there's so much Levi this time around. We are getting so many interactions with him and Son. He is a deputy as well, if need be. I guess like a volunteer deputy. He's been deputized, but he doesn't work for the police department. And so he is getting to help her on all of these cases. This one's really impressive because there's like 3 different cases going on at once, and somehow I'm super hooked into every one of them. I started on The Ghosts We Keep by Mason Deaver. I'm already about now hour into it. It's pretty short, so I'll manage to finish this fairly quickly. I'm liking the voice that is being used. We are alternating back and forth between the before and after of when our main character Liam's older brother Ethan died. Amanda said that the author's note at the end really messed with her emotions, so I'll have to remember to read that one. Anyway, it's really freaking hot. I think my gas just finished, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Talk to y'all later. Bye. I definitely should have dusted before moving that. Oh well. Hey y'all, so it is Thursday, and guess who has now finished 2 books? That's right, I went from finishing no books last week to 2 books in 3 days. Yesterday was Josh's and Mai's anniversary, so I didn't really get anything read because of that. However, I finished the group book for Team 4, which was The Ghosts We Keep by Mason Deaver. I went into this expecting this book to just mess me up emotionally. It is about this young person who recently their older brother passed away from a hit and run, and they're just trying to cope with that. Because I'm really close with my own older brother, really thought I was gonna be bawling, and then seeing everybody else's comments in the Discord chat made me think the same thing, like this is gonna be super emotional. First, I want to point out that the summary I gave in my TBR and the summary that's on Goodreads, I feel like isn't very true. I mean, it is, but it's kind of like, it makes you think that the majority of this book is going to be about our main character Liam and his older brother's best friend Marcus bonding and trying to get over their grief together or learn to cope with said grief together. But that's not really what happens. Instead, it is very much focused on Liam. They occasionally interact with Marcus. At first, Marcus wants nothing to do with them, and then they sort of become a bit more cordial, learn about each other, which then helps them learn more about Ethan. And I just had such a hard time connecting with Liam. I think it was because Liam is 16, and I just have a very difficult time putting myself in a teenager's shoes because I don't want to be in their shoes anymore. I've moved past that stage of my life. This kind of just reinforced what I already thought, which was I've outgrown YA contemporaries. I can't identify with the main characters. It's just really difficult and aggravating to me to read things from their voice. While I think Deaver did a fantastic job of characterizing Liam as a teenager, reading this book, I really would have thought I was in the mindset of a teenager. And the way grief is handled in this also was really well done, specifically for a teenager, where they just don't know how to handle what they're feeling. They'll react one way thinking this is what they want to do, and then right afterwards they feel awful because they acted that way and wish they could take it back and react in a different way. I think that was just very true to being a teenager and like at that point in your life, and especially trying to handle something that heavy. I felt really bad because I couldn't identify with this character at all, so then in the end I felt bad for them, but I didn't feel emotionally moved. Like I said, I think this just taught me the lesson that I already kind of knew, but it reinforced it, which is I can't read YA contemporaries anymore. It's a shame. Apart from that, I have about 30 pages left in A Good Day for Chardonnay. At one point, I stopped the other night reading at a very exciting and heart-wrenching scene where I just needed to know what was gonna happen next, but then I looked at the clock and realized, oh my god, I need to go to bed. I put the book down, but the next morning when my alarm went off, you bet your ass I picked this baby up so fast to find out what happened next. And then I read for like that 30 minutes where I try and wake myself up in the morning. It was real good. That's what I've been doing the last few days actually, is waking myself up early so I can read more. And I'm just loving this. Again, Levi everywhere, and it just makes me so happy. We had one of the mysteries officially solved, and it had a satisfying conclusion, and I really enjoyed the way Jones connected it with something from Sunshine's past, which kind of showed us more of her and her growth over time that we haven't seen. And then on top of that, there's a side plot thing. It's not really I guess it's kind of a mystery, but Sunshine ended up solving that one as well. And then there was a nice little surprise twist that personally in the moment, I totally guessed it, but prior to that scene, I never would have suspected, and I really loved it. It was just so well done. Again, anything Everything Dorinda Jones writes, I just kind of fall in love with. This is no different. I will probably finish this tonight. I can guarantee it. And then finally, Behind the Red Door, which is the book that replaced Reaper at the Gates. This is the one I'm buddy reading with Paige at the PM Reader. I officially started it. I'm very happy to see that right out of the gate, it turns out the victim of the crime that our main character is trying to identify and thinks she knows also wrote a book about the experiences she lived through called Behind the Red Door. So this kind of has that like the Nothing Man situation going on where it's like a book within a book and the book within the book is kind of the book itself. It's a very specific trope, but I'm learning more and more that I love that between The Nothing Man and Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. Just like, I really enjoy that trope and I'm happy to see it here. There's only been a small sliver of the book thus far, and I've only read the first chapter anyway. Our main character basically works for Child Protection Services, so she deals with a lot of heavy stuff, and it turns out she has absolutely terrible anxiety, which I can't help but think, wow, what a career to be in and have absolutely awful anxiety. She is getting therapy, so that's great and shows healthy coping with her anxiety. But apart from that, she sees that this woman who wrote Behind the Red Door has disappeared for a second time in her life, and her husband is like, oh yeah, you know, it's really terrible because she disappeared like 20 years ago when she was a kid, and our main character just has absolutely no recollection of this, when it turns out our main character lived like 50 miles from where this actually happened, so you would think it would be everywhere, but she still just no idea. I also picked up the audiobook for this from the library, so hopefully that will kind of help me get through it a little faster. I think I just officially have to give up on all of the additional books I wanted to try and read, unfortunately, but I want to try and finish the 4 that I initially planned. I want to get my 4 for my team. I want to do it. I'm gonna do it. Apart from that, I came across this girl on YouTube recently known as the Bliss Bean, and she's kind of in like productivity YouTube / minimalism. I don't know why, but her videos are so calming and I've just been watching them whenever I can. And I watched one earlier while I was at the gym in which she redecorated her entire room, and it really made me want to redecorate my entire room, which is ridiculous because I actually really love the way my room is laid out. Pretty much the only thing I might ever do different is shift the position of my bed so that I could maybe get more bookshelves. That's kind of like the one thing I've ever thought about. But to fulfill this feeling, which took me 3 tries to just say those F words together, I am gonna try and reorganize my desk, because fun fact about my desk, I'm not gonna lift it, but like this little section right here actually lifts up and I usually don't utilize it. I have nothing down there. It's additional storage basically, which could come in handy a lot because every one of these drawers is overfilling. I always just have my laptop on top, so I've never really thought the need to put anything in there. Well, guess what? Today is the day I'm gonna do it. That requires me reorganizing everything else first though. I'm gonna do that. Part of me wants to say that I will listen to the audiobook for Behind the Red Door. The other part of me just knows myself and my mindset right now, and I might just end up watching more of the Bliss Bean or Zumbo's Just Desserts. I've been on a kick for that lately. I don't know why. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Hey y'all, so the Enneagram Readathon officially ended last night at midnight. I was over at Josh's, so I didn't get to do a final update for then, but I did finish my last book, which was Behind the Red Door by Megan Collins. Like I said, I was buddy reading this with Paige, and I had many thoughts I wanted to talk to her about this morning because wow, this book, I was really surprised by it given that I bought it not really knowing too much. This was a great time. I blasted through the last 3/4 of this book very quickly, and I think a big part of that is because Megan Collins' writing is so infectious when it comes to making you anxious. Our main character, Fern, has a serious anxiety disorder. I was constantly on the edge of my seat. I was freaking out. Anytime we turned a corner, I was worrying about what was on the other side. Whenever a new suspect was revealed, I was suddenly terrified that they were going to up and kidnap Fern also. Just so well done. I needed to figure out where the story was going to end. That's why I just couldn't stop reading it. For the mystery, how it is unveiled was just completely addicting to read because I would have one person I was suspicious of and thought was behind it, and then more evidence would be revealed and I would easily be able to change and follow Fern's lead in thinking, okay, now it makes sense that it's this person. But then it would happen again, and I would change right along with Fern, where it made sense each time why her opinion was changing. This happened time and time again until finally the kidnapper was revealed. And I will say I had guessed it fairly early on as to who it was, but I wasn't angry because how it is handled is just so fantastic, and I can't elaborate on that honestly because of spoilers, but I really enjoyed it. This really pushes into psychological thrillers because you have to figure out whether you can trust Fern's brain or not, whether she really is uncovering something here or it's just her brain and her anxieties self-inserting into these situations, which was really interesting and a unique way to do a unreliable narrator. There was an additional twist at the end of the book that I felt pretty ambivalent about. Part of me was surprised, but part of me also wasn't because it totally made perfect sense. I just didn't really know how to feel about it in the end. And then finally, for the ending itself, I was a little unsatisfied because it's a hair ambiguous in terms of what the protagonist is going to do moving forward. Again, trying to be spoiler free, but in terms of the mystery and having that kind of an ending, I just wasn't the biggest fan. All in all though, I really enjoyed this. I gave this baby 4 stars. I am definitely going to check out Megan Collins's newest book, which just came out. I think it's The Family Plot. I'm pretty sure it is The Family Plot. So I managed to finish all 4 books that I initially planned. I didn't do any extras, unfortunately, but you know, life just kind of got in the way. Thank you so much to everybody else who participated. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys had as much fun as I did. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!